So, I mean, that symposium actually was quite productive from the point of view of music and the music world. And I mean, we have done some wonderful work, but
our first project, obviously, we will do more. Obviously.
Oh, absolutely! I can see an album happening.
Definitely. Hi, I'm Donna McKevitt. I'm a composer. I write music for vocal consorts and contemporary dance and film.
So I'm Supriya Nagarajan, and I'm a musician-composer based in Yorkshire. So I have two hats on. I compose based on commissions. I perform quite a lot worldwide, but I also run Manasamitra, which is an arts organization based in Dewsbury. It was probably 2017, I think it was, and Harriet Weiber, who was one of the managers here at that time. I don't remember her exact title, do you?
No, I don't remember her title. No. She organised the whole thing.
She organised a symposium and invited composers to come and talk about their own experiences and what composition meant and how people composed and, you know, what music was about. It was just an interesting discussion in any case.
Yeah, and how we structure our lives and our work and our business and all of that kind of stuff. And I was kind of struck by you because I remember thinking, wow, she's so organised. She's totally on this. She knows what she's doing. And I was really impressed by that. It was
Thank you.
Very cool.
Perception, hey? It was a wonderful event. And I think we sat next to each other.
Yeah.
And we clicked straight away. I can remember jabbing away, and then, you know, we kept in touch, and the story started there, actually, so to speak.
It did, yeah.
Yeah,
it was a great event because I remember afterwards talking to lots of young composers and just being able to help them, sort of give them some sort of framework for their lives, because it's quite, I mean, it's hard enough, isn't it?
Yes.
As a composer, it's can be quite a lonely kind of pursuit, you know, and it's hard, but it's hard enough when you kind of established, let alone when you're kind of starting out and you don't know where to go, you don't know what to do first, you know, so it was quite nice to be able to help people a little bit that night.
So, I mean, that symposium actually was quite productive from the point of view of music and the music world. And, I mean, we have done some wonderful work, but
our first project, obviously, we will do more. Obviously.
Oh, absolutely. I can see an album happening.
Definitely. Well, for me, that was the main thing, was trying to help young people and young composers sort of make sense of it, their choice. They've made this choice, now what do they do? You know, the PRS is really great for that. There's those sort of meetings, groups, symposiums, whatever you call them. But then also the grant system that you have is really fantastic. The sort of tiered system it comes in with Women Make Music and all the other sort of grants that go up and up to help people throughout their careers. So yeah, I think it was well worth doing, wasn't it?
Yeah, for me also it was really interesting because I got to know a little bit about the world of composition that you actually worked in.
Yeah.
Because the world that I work in is different. You know, it's acoustic, I create work, I go for grants or commissions, whereas you worked with films and so for me that was a new world.
Yeah.
So I was learning from you.
Yeah.
And I was also learning from all the young people in the room as well, because each of them came with a different mindset. And I think that's why it's so important, because sometimes you don't actually have the space to listen to each other and their practices and, you know, how you actually achieve what you want, what your journey has been. So it's really nice to be there because you sort of get so many different ideas. I definitely did. So I used a lot of the ideas there to actually take into my mentoring or into my work itself, and then create new work like we have done.
I was just messing around in my studio one day and just sort of came up with a kind of composition, really. And I just thought of you, really. There was a moment when I thought of you, because I was writing, it came out of sort of lots of programming and sampling and sort of just, I don't know, I just put this track together that was kind of had a sort of an industrial kind of quite hard edge to it, and I wanted something that was kind of beautiful that would juxtapose that, and I thought of you, obviously.
and I'm so glad you did.
Yeah.
I'm really glad.
And
yes.
I just thought your voice would just sound amazing.
Thank
So
you.
I sent Supriya the composition, which was just basically an instrumental at that point. And Supriya improvised a few lines and then sent them to me. And then I basically put that track aside that I'd already made and restructured what Supriya had done, edited it, I guess, and moved it around and created a kind of form on its own with your vocal. And then I built the track around her vocal. Again, I rebuilt the track around you. So that's basically the sort of nuts and bolts of the process.
So the track's actually called Alai, which in Tamil is a wave. And when I heard Donna's music for the first, in the first sort of 5 minutes, that was the word that came to my mind, you know, the wave. So any improvisation I did was based on the topic, the subject actually, and also a little bit of the feel of it, the emotion of it. So I wanted it to be gentle. I could imagine myself standing on a beach waiting for this track to happen. So that was the vibe. And because it came during lockdown, I think lockdown did a lot of things with people's minds. You know, you needed that pocket of tranquility every now and then in lockdown. So this track came just at the right time. And then we were talking and, you know, there was already the connection there. And so this track just came at the right time and it felt very tranquil actually to me. I know you said industrial, but it didn't feel like that to me. It felt very tranquil. And then, so that's why I think it was really important in various sort of contexts to actually do this work together. Because, you know, it was also to prove that never mind if there's a lockdown, we can still make music, you know. Music is still possible and you can do it from home and all those things. So there was various reasons why we needed to do this. And we did it.
And we managed to do it. We haven't seen each other since the PRS. We've Zoomed, but we haven't seen each other in person. So that, I was just thinking about that earlier today, and it's like how amazing it is that we created that just from one meeting and a couple of Zooms and telephone calls, you know, and but more importantly, it was the musician to musician listening to each other, you know, responding to each other's work. And creating it. I mean, that's the thing that makes it at the end of the day. It's a very intuitive process, isn't it? Well, harking back to what we just said, the most important thing is to listen to each other, you know, as you're working things out, but also, you know, I mean, any musician, if you're improvising with somebody, you know, you shouldn't, you know your instrument, but then you don't listen to yourself, you listen to everyone else around you. And that's how you create something. So I think as an extension of that for songwriting, that's the number one rule for me. And the other thing I would say is, you know, don't copy anyone else, you know, just try and keep true to what you are. Because, you know, you could start doing, you could if you're not doing that a few years later, you could look back and think, oh, who am I? You know, what is so, what is my identity? You know, as it's really important to try and keep the faith and believe in what you're doing.
For me, I think literally 95% of my music is collaboration and improvisation, because my discipline is South Indian classical, which is not what I practice here in its traditional sense. So every time I get into a room with musicians from a different background, genre, culture, instrumentation, whatever it is, I have to listen. Like Donna says, I have to listen, I have to understand, and I have to meld my vocals into that, because the beauty lies in creating something new. So keeping to what I think I know best and staying in my comfort zone doesn't give me that joy of creating that new.
Absolutely.
So I think all musicians should keep their ears and mind open, I would say, so that they can create a new sound, which is exciting. I mean, that's what everybody's looking for, right? An exciting new sound.
Exactly.
So that's the way to do it, like everything that you said. And, you know, keep your eyes, mind, and your ears open. I've had funding from PRS Foundation on various ways, both for the organization that I run, Manasamitra, as well as for myself as a musician-composer. And I think it's crucial and vital, especially in today's world, where nobody is willing to take a risk on new music, and nobody is willing to give composers and musicians space to actually create work that they want to create rather than have to create for a livelihood. So it's funds like this that give that space and opportunity to musicians and composers, and I think it's really vital that it carries on. And, you know, like Donna mentioned, there is a progression. So you have Women Make Music, and then you have Open Fund for Creators, you have Composers Fund. And I think it is also to recognize and gracefully sort of move away from funding when you've had your share, in a way, and, you know, make the space for new composers and musicians to actually occupy that space. Because I think you can create the opportunities with that kind of support, and that will sustain you for some time.
I don't think I can add to that. It's just brilliantly put. Yeah. No, I've been very lucky to receive some funding, lots of funding from PRS over the years. The first one was for a dance project. York Dance Company applied for commissioning money for a project, and I think that was through the Open Fund. Yeah, and then the Women Make Music Fund. Yeah, yep. So I've been very fortunate, and also it's a relatively simple application process as well, isn't it? Others are not so simple, but the PRS one is nice, straightforward as well, which can really put people off, you know, and they have to spend lots of time or even pay other people to help them with their funding applications and stuff. But PRS is fantastic, and I can't really add more to what Supriya said. It's brilliantly put.